OG Redditors, what are the darkest Reddit moments/threads that no longer exist or got lost over time? r/Carl Programming was a really helpful guy who taught people programming and would helpfully answer questions. Stopped posting one day. Turns out the reason why he was arrested was for keeping his son locked in a room and making child porn of him for years. He was even Redditor of the day at a point, some URL. Fuck, yeah, I heard about this guy when I didn't have Reddit yet. A few weeks ago, I rewatched the YouTube video explaining the case, remembered it, and couldn't stop myself from checking the user account. Some part of me didn't want to believe it, and, well, fucking fuck. I came here to mention this one, but couldn't remember his name. How did they find out? The dude who stole money by pretending he'll buy an island only for Redditors Lamau. I thought the US already owns the Virgin Islands though? r/kamikaze bywords. Also the UK. That was funny. There was a thread on, I think, r/legal advice a few years back asking how rape cases were investigated and prosecuted, and it was immediately apparent that it was posted by someone who was trying to figure out how to get away with rape. That didn't end well. I need the archive of that one. That sounds fucking nuts. Same. Saving the comment because I want to see how this turned out. I remember reading it. Basically one of the replies was someone who searched through the ops posting history and saw that they were active on incel subreddits and called him out on basically trying to figure out how to rape someone and get away with it. The rest of the comments were basically saying that op was scum and they wouldn't help him get away with rape. The IMA from a guy who had just tried heroin for the first time. All the comments were people telling him that he had seriously fucked up and that he was going to end up a heroin addict. He was confident that he had enough self-control and that he would be fine. 2 weeks later he posted an update that he was deep in the throes of addiction and that his girlfriend was leaving him. A few more weeks later he posted more updates in which he revealed he had basically ruined his life due to addiction and was facing legal troubles and losing his job. I believe that his last update was several years later in which he said it took him several years to finally get clean. It was eerie reading people predict and foreshadow his downfall and how arrogant he was. It was a great lesson in how you can't fuck with heroin, not even once. I believe you can still find his account and post history. I've tried quite a few different drugs, some harder than others. But I can confidently say I would never try heroin. I'm sure it feels amazing, too amazing to want to try. Anyone remember that? What's the one secret that would ruin your life? Thread on /r/askreddit. There were some wild fucking stories in there. Never saw this thread, but could use a good read if anyone has the link. Yes. I still think about the bizarre one where the girl being fucked by a German Shepherd. Ironically the only one I remember was the girl who was famous for baking cakes and just used Betty Crocker mixes. Them firing the wife of the dude that launched the whole Secret Santa thing after she had managed to turn AMA into an awesome sub was kinda shitty. Was that Victoria? Yep. Ooh yeah, I remember that. I was a huge fan of AMAs back then, but after Victoria left, I stopped visiting as a personal protest but ended up never really returning. I'll catch some of the ones that reach all nowadays, but that's about it, even still. I think subs went dark too, yes? The time where Reddit went on a witch hunt for the Boston bombers, doxed some innocent kid who had gone missing, including posting harassing messages to his family on Facebook. Turns out the kid was not involved at all and disappeared at the same time because he committed suicide. But that's where "we did it Reddit" comes from. You left out the fact that the massive amount of harassment coming from Reddit led to the police releasing info about the actual Boston bomber early, which led to the Boston bomber fleeing early and killing a couple of police in the process, which likely could have been avoided otherwise. Harassed a grieving family and got a couple of cops killed while contributing nothing to the actual investigation. We did it Reddit. Edit, one cop not two. Boston bombers, the Tsarnaev brothers, and how did adding onto someone else's Reddit history post get me my most upvoted comment of all time? This also led to Reddit making no doxing as part of their site-wide rules, since it wasn't before. Also a guy who chopped his dick off because he thought God told him so in order to save humanity. I ended up going through that guy's post history and the fall into insanity was scary. The pics were worse. Yup. Went through his post history as well. It scarred me. Hit me with that sauce, fam. Surprised not see mention of Victoria being pushed, jumping from her role in AMAs here. I started Reddit a few years before that, but after its super dark times, and that for me was a real change for the worse for the site. Man, I totally forgot about Victoria. AMAs definitely lost some of their charm without her helping out. I remember Victoria, but never heard of what happened. I just noticed she was no longer there and didn't really realize it. Can someone TLDR me? Reddit wanted AMA to be run in a more commercialized manner, cause profit. Victoria objected and wanted to continue to run AMA as authentic as possible. Reddit fired Victoria. Life After Lyme, the dude who lived in a cult in Canada. I think Life After Lyme was a woman who thought she had Lyme disease and said she thought her daughter had it as well. Then Reddit pointed out that her symptoms weren't Lyme disease and the medication her doctor was giving her was not for Lyme disease. Might have them backwards unless the story changed after some time. She basically documented her dive into insanity. Bro, that thread scared the shit out of me because my dumbass thought those were the actual symptoms of Lyme disease. I am here to just discuss Rampart. Only Rampart. For the uninitiated. Some URL. I was there when it happened, and it was 10 years ago. Jesus. Yup. Didn't this AMA happen just after Victoria left, who was the boss OG dealing with AMAs? That was my first taste of mod drama in a sub. Grandma who killed her granddaughter because she didn't believe she was really allergic to coconut oil. TLDR. Grandma has long insisted allergy isn't real, is generally awful. Parents have warned her many times about allergy. Grandma is babysitting, puts coconut oil on the little girl's hair before putting her to bed. She died of an allergic reaction. Some URL. One of the saddest thing I ever read. This is one of the saddest stories I ever read on Reddit. And it drives me mad reading about anyone who doesn't believe in allergies. That time that guy discovered his wife cheated on him. Reddit advice was to file for a divorce immediately. His wife's response was to murder their children. The saddest thing is that this was really the best advice, since the woman was ruining the health of the guy and the family. Unfortunately, she was incredibly unbalanced and no one could have predicted that she would do something like that. Yeah, I feel like Reddit isn't exactly to blame there. I doubt even he thought she was capable of something that heinous. The Ask a Rapist thread is a pretty dark moment in Reddit history. It was nuked for obvious reasons. The most disgusting part about that thread was how supportive the commenters seemed to be. Reddit is a large site, so there is obviously going to be criminals of all types among the users. But the amount of upvotes they got, combined with the amount of excuses and justifications that came up, really showed what a staggering amount of truly horrible people are on this site. Ah. The cesspool that is humanity, said in Mr. Agent Smith voice. I disagree. I actually think it demonstrates how much evil ordinary people are capable of. Reddit used to have /r/jailbait sub where half-naked young teenagers were posted regularly. That was just the tip of the iceberg as well. They banned a whole bunch of similar subreddits. And it was one of the top subs for a long-ass time before Anderson Cooper did a story again. What? There was what is now known as the Ask a Rapist thread. Someone posted in askreddit inviting rapists to tell their stories. It was pretty much a shit show. There were a lot of guys who admitted to violating consent while drunk, etc., and of course people stepped up to sympathize with them. There were also the more sinister, I know 100% I'm a rapist and don't feel bad about it types. Then some psychologists popped into the thread to say that letting rapists tell their stories actually encouraged them and let them relive their experiences. AskReddit mods nuked it from orbit, locking it, deleting every comment, and then the post itself. Jesus Christ. Watch People D was an interesting one. Got banned after the mosque massacres in New Zealand. Came to mention this. Pulling this sub up in class was always the scariest stuff. Same with Dead or a Vegetable, like that subbed but got nuked for the same reason. Why would that sub be pulled up in class? Wasn't anything even wrong with the sub, but most of those vids still exist in other subreddits. Deleted. Something like that happened to one of my school friends. His brother threw a stick or rock or something and accidentally killed him at our bus stop. I forget how. It was really sad, and I remember the entire family being so broken from that. We were in such a small town. Every single street was connected at the end with a single giant back pathway that had parks all along it. We all used to play as kids together around those parts. That is so sad. Whenever a little kid is killed, it breaks my heart. When I was in year 5, this guy from my primary school died because his dad accidentally ran him over in the driveway when he was reversing. The dude was so sweet. He was in my little sister's class. The dad wasn't the same afterwards, and it was a small country community. Link.